Check in with meteorologist Daji Aswad. Daji, it's been a tough morning for folks heading out on the roads. I know the brunt of it was earlier, but the impact continues.
That is exactly right. Right now we are on Galveston Island and we're just off of Broadway, traveling through some of these side streets. We're around that 48th, 50th Street. So if you live in any of these neighborhoods, you can see, I'm going to change over the camera here, that it is tough to get through cars deciding, can they make it through this? I would suggest if you do live in one of these side streets to maybe give it some time till this water recedes. We have been noticing this once again off of Broadway. These streets look not like streets, but more like rivers and even in some cases ponds, as you cannot see the surface below. And what we recommend once again is turning around, because sometimes we don't know how deep the water is. We continue to see cars once again trying to make their way through these side streets, making their way to work, but it has been a difficult travel here on Galveston Island, and this is one of the locations that have seen a lot of rain once again in a short period of time. Earlier this morning in places like Bay City, once again, we love your click to pins. As long as you're taking that picture safely, we would love to see what it looks like in your neighborhood. We're going to continue to monitor light rain here as much of this continues to push out to the east, but notice the impacts, as Zach mentioned, are still very vast and great. Seeing flooding here on the roads, once again, hard to see the roads at times, especially in these low-lying areas here on Galveston Island. Back to you, Zach.
Yeah, Daji, I know earlier before we went to you before break, we were taking your live shot, and it was tough for me to see if this road that you're on was actually flooded because the monitor is quite small. But when a car went by, we were able to see the wave that it created. We can see now the water flying up in the wheel well of your vehicle, of Storm Tracker. And I think it's, this is an important time to remind folks, as you just did, if you see this ponding, if you see this amount of water on the road, to turn around. Do not go through it.
That's exactly right. Going through this is treacherous. You can see the trash can is floating here in the street off to our right.
We're in a big truck.
Yeah, luckily we're lifted here, so we have just a little bit more stability, but once again, it doesn't take that much water to even take some of the stronger vehicles away.
Yeah.
So that's why we always recommend turning around. We've been taking our time kind of seeing which streets are looking a little worse than others. Right now, this is 48th and Avenue L. Earlier, we were on Broadway and the traffic was slow. We're still in that commute time, but most of Broadway wasn't too bad. However, there were some patches that did have some extreme ponding, but not as bad at these side streets where people's vehicles, I saw a Peachy Cruiser earlier and the water was almost above the tire. So that's what we're seeing out here this morning. And once again, the rain is not super heavy, but it's what we saw earlier with those heavier bouts of rain that have been pressing through with this storm system. Now out across Houston, you may not see anything like this in your neighborhood. You might notice some ponding on the highway, on the beltway, things of that nature. But once again, we just want everyone to remain safe. And yeah, look, as we pull, we're going to continue to pull a little forward here. There's a truck to the left, right of us, and you can see that
just how high the water is.
Where you step into the truck, how high the water is. And as I mentioned, trash cans floating around and things of that nature. Another thing to mention when we have flood water like this is the debris. If something gets loose, it might be a little bit dangerous. It might be unhealthy to be in water like this. So if you can stay in the house here in Galveston for a little bit longer until some of this water recedes, that might be the best thing to do. Now we're turning here and we see somebody walking down the street. So maybe he said, hey, I'm not going to take the car, I'm going to walk. Or maybe this is his daily routine, but we have seen multiple people walking. Rain's starting to pick up just a tad bit here. It's a difficult morning here in Galveston on some of these side streets. We have a car in the distance who has his hazards on. People just definitely trying to take...
Did you get stuck? Did you get stuck? You okay? Is it water? Is that your car? She abandoned.
So the woman walking, her vehicle got stuck, so she's walking back to get some help here now.
Oh, wow.
So this is the kind of scene that we have here across Galveston Island. And
Daji, let me
yeah,
ask you this. You're giving us this look of the roads. I'm so glad that you reminded our viewers that Storm Tracker 2, these are elevated vehicles. They're F-250s that are much higher than, you know, your typical sedan or SUV. We're seeing the roads are flooded. Some of these roads have significant water on them. Is this water impacting any homes or garages butted up to these roadways?
Right now, I haven't seen any property damage, so it seems like it's staying, you know, kind of out of people's garages at this point. From what I can see, we're going to continue to kind of travel through this neighborhood.
Yeah.
Once again, that is off of Broadway. That now we're on 54th and Avenue K. So haven't seen too much in terms of property concerns at this moment. Luckily, since this rain is moving out, hopefully we don't get to that point. Hopefully it can recede before then. Yeah. We're still seeing these trucks trying to travel through.
Water. Wow.
And kind of want to point out something it's so impressive. We're going to see another truck here pass right in front of us, and you can just see the ripples. It's like an ocean here that when you move through it, it's basically a body of water on its own. What we're also noticing, I wish I could show you, I have a little app called Radar Scope, and I can kind of see over the last 3 hours some of the heavier bouts of rain. As I mentioned, back through Bay City where we saw some heavier rainfall totals, we had, I should say rainfall, totals and intensities that were around 2 inches per hour at some times. Here in Galveston, we saw over an inch and a half in some of these locations, and I wish I had my ruler with me today so I can kind of get out and see how deep it is, but I'll try to post some more videos here on social media as I have been to kind of give you a gauge of what it really is like compared to a rain boot or anything of that nature. In the meantime, if you have to head out here through Galveston Island, living on any of these side streets, kind of reconsider, maybe try to get into work a little bit later as you continue to see very flooded roads here.
Yeah, good tips, excellent perspective, great reporting by meteorologist Daji Aswad. Daji, thank you so much. You and Caesar, be careful out there this morning down in Galveston. We appreciate it.